And we're live. Welcome to the Room Show. I'm the host, Go Room, the Room Show podcast, and I got a special guest today. Adam, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How's it going? Nice to meet you.
Definitely same. I appreciate you for taking time coming on the podcast.
Of course. Anytime I was really happy you reached out and wanted me to come on. It was very flattering. So thank you.
Definitely appreciate it. Welcome to the Room Show. And my audience, before we talk about like exactly what you do, when did you first start? Was it acting or was it like interviewing? What's the first thing you did?
So actually, before any of that, I was actually a barber. I was doing it for about, I would say, 5 years, and I started in high school at 16. So and I did that, and I quit when the pandemic happened. I actually have a tattoo of a like a barber pole with like a little like a straight razor thing.
Yeah.
Uh, it was the first ever career I did. I was really passionate about it, so even to this day it still holds a special place in my heart. But when the pandemic hit, I quit that. I wanted to pursue acting and interviewing because one of the things I fell in love with when I was cutting hair was talking to people. So initially, in 2020, when the pandemic happened, I just started a podcast, just interviewing just people that like friends or people that I followed on Instagram that I was like acquainted with, that I thought were pretty interesting, and from there it blossomed into what it is today, like interviewing different actors or directors or musicians and doing press junkets. It's funny because as someone like yourself too who's interviewing, and you always want to do better with your craft and always you know uh, keep reaching new heights. And I didn't notice how much I did until I actually put together like a demo reel. I was like, wow, like it's pretty cool. I got to interview all these people that I looked up to and stuff. So it's been a real blessing. I'm really happy I did that. That I started it, and also with the acting, that was something. One of my clients was doing a short film, or yeah, it was like a short film, but he was is still in high school. And he was like, yeah, he's like, I'm looking for actors, whatever, to do it. He's like, just gonna make a little small thing. I'm like, dude, like I've always wanted to act. I'll do it. And he's like, okay, sure, what the hell, why not? And him and I now we're good friends. He actually was the director of photography on my feature film All Is Fine in '89. So shout out to Christian Kakuzo. And yeah, now I have an agent now. I've been working with her for a couple of years. She's great. Her name's Simona, and I just been auditioning, and just I'm just trying to continue to better myself and to learn along the way.
Super fire. You got an interesting story. So from going from being a barber to what you do now, how do you look at life?
Honestly, I look at life. It's pretty unpredictable, man. Like things can change. Like I never would have thought I was gonna do acting or do a podcast when I was cutting hair. I never thought that. I literally thought that that was me my career for life. I was being a barber. I was gonna like my plans were, oh, I'm gonna open up a barber shop. I'm gonna do this. I did do a product line at one point, like for like men's grooming products, like for hair and all that stuff. And yeah, I look at I think I also look at life like you kind of have to take what comes at you, right? Because look, the pandemic was obviously a terrible thing that happened. Many people suffered from it, and I always in life, not even just with that, but I always try to look at the positives with things, right? If something bad happens, I'm always like, okay, how can I turn this negative into a positive? And I think that's what I tried to do. I during the pandemic when we are all hunkering down, I was taking a lot of online acting classes and trying to learn, and I was like recording some little monologues, and I was posting them like on YouTube and stuff, which I've now deleted because looking back they're terrible. So that's what I tried to do, and that's why I kind of look at life. I tried to be optimistic. I try to stay positive, and I don't when bad things happen, I don't let it bring me down. I try to think I'm not gonna let that you know drag my self-esteem lower. I'm gonna try to, push through and really fight for what I believe in. So that's kind of my mentality with life.
Right. Doing good, looking good. Um, your podcast, I love the show.
Oh,
Um,
thank you, man.
yeah. Um, you got some very good guests on there too, some big guests.
Thanks. Yeah, I've been fortunate to interview some people that, like I said, that I've admired, that I've grew up watching, in film and TV, and it's really crazy. Like when you do that, because there's a saying, oh, like, you should never meet your heroes and stuff. But thankfully, knock on wood, everybody that I've interviewed so far has been really great. Like I've had such great experiences, and now when I watch them on TV, or when I watch their movies, a part of me is like, it's like, wow, like I got to talk with them. And it's like I don't know, it's really cool. Like, because obviously they're not like their characters. They're just they're playing make believe. They're acting, right? But when you talk with them, it's almost like, for example, when I interviewed Danny Trejo, who's like someone I've always loved watching, like whether it's from Spy Kids or Machete and stuff, right? So when I interviewed him, it's like obviously he's nothing like those characters. He's not like, a killer and stuff, and he's not, but he's still badass. And it's like, wow, like I'm talking with the guy who's from, even from Heat, right? He's in Heat, like one of my favorite movies, and it's like, oh my god, like it's really cool. You kind of get to geek out when you interview people like that. So yeah, it's been really great, honestly. Like I said, I'm very fortunate because, you know, yes, I had to work really hard to get these people on, but a lot of it is, luck as well. I'm assuming, right? Like, but I also believe you make your own luck in life. I feel like, there's people out there, and not to say I'm some master of what I do, because I'm not. I'm still learning, and even with you, I looked at all your interviews and stuff, man, and you do great work. So I get inspired by people like yourself too. Like, we're all in this together. It's an art form. We're supposed to lift everybody up, and we're all equals at the end of the day. But one thing I will say, people who want to do podcasting, and I'm sure you can agree with this, you just got to keep going, right? I know that's such a typical thing to say, like just keep going, but it's true, because the people who eventually stop because it gets too hard or whatever, they're like, oh, I couldn't get big names on my podcast. It's like, well, you could if you kept going. Like, I've been doing this for almost 6 years. Like, it doesn't happen overnight. I'm sure you've been doing it for a while too. It takes a long time. Uh, and again, like I said, I'm still trying to learn and grow along the way. I'm nowhere near where I want to be. Like, so yeah, it just takes a lot of time and patience, and just hard work, just like anything in life. Any job you do, you have to put in the work.
Yeah, podcasting is it's very hard.
It's very hard, man. And like, I'm sure you edit, like, you edit your own stuff, or do you have somebody that does it for you, or?
Yeah, I do everything, the editing.
Yeah, same here, right? So I mean, we're in the same boat together. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of work to do that. Like, to edit two people, they look at a video that's like 60 seconds, like a reel, for example, but they don't know it probably took a couple hours to make. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah. Sometimes it could take a few days. Depending
yeah,
how you want it.
it's really hard, man. It's really hard.
How do you how do you balance like with your personal life, making sure that you're good, you're having fun in life and you're doing what you gotta do with podcasting? Because it's like podcasting is like 24/7 work.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Like, I always try to like balance. Like, at the end of the day, I'm not doing like interviews like every day. I wish I was. That'd be amazing, right? But I also juggle mortgages as like my day job with my brother. Um, I also help run my mom's business. She has she's an esthetician. Her and my sister, they run a business together called Skin by Isabel in Toronto. So I help run their product line. I help do all that stuff. So I'm juggling a bunch of things, but I've learned to like just kind of spread everything out. That's how I kind of keep my, like, I guess, a work life balance intact, and I don't go crazy. Uh, for example, if I do an interview on like a Monday, it'll probably take me about a week to really edit it, and like, then throughout the next week after that, I'm like slowly editing clips, pumping those out. So I just kind of spread things out, right? Like, an interview for me will take maybe about a couple days to edit, right? Like, like on and off. Um, but then, like, again, I'm slowly spreading everything else. So, and I want to enjoy myself. I'm still in my 20s, right? Like I mean, people have different ways of going about life. I know some people will probably watch this interview and say, "Oh yeah, in your 20s you're supposed to just work 24/7, and then after you can enjoy your social life," right? But my philosophy is like, dude, like who knows, like who knows what can happen tomorrow, right? Like in life, and I don't take that for granted. I enjoy every second of my life, and I enjoy the podcast. I enjoy everything that I do, whether it's work, whether it's my besides work, right? Um, so yeah, I just try to. Sometimes it does get hard to balance things, but uh, yeah, I think you find new ways to make it work. You'll find tips and tricks like along the way. I remember when I first started, that's all I was doing, like basically 24/7. I was just like recording with all my friends, like literally like interviews every single day. And then it just got to a point where I'm like, okay, like this is getting a little too much now. So, and then that's how you adapt, right? Then you go, okay, maybe I should do it once a week, and then that's how things change. So, yeah, even like how my podcast looks, like I've changed my format along the way. So there's always new things I'm learning, and I definitely like to enjoy myself too, like my personal life with my fiance and everything. So
Yeah, you gotta do that. That's important.
yeah, it's really important. I think people sometimes they forget to do that. They sometimes, and it's not a bad thing, man. Sometimes work just gets the better of you. You think, especially people have like kids that they're raising, a family. If people are not in the best financial position, like sometimes they just have to work 24/7, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just, I'm just very grateful and blessed. I'm in a position where I still live at home, right? I'm not married yet. I live at home, and I'm, my parents have been very helpful with my passion and very supportive. And without my family, I really wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't have the opportunity to be doing this. So, a lot of them, I owe everything to them.
Right. It's good to have a good support system too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, I seen that you interviewed, if I'm not mistaken, Shaggy from Scooby Doo.
Yeah, yeah, Matthew Lillard. Yeah.
Yeah. How was that, man? That's big. Congrats on that one.
Oh, thank you. Oh, he's great. He's great. Like, you watch his. Actually, one of the questions I asked him was about like how all of his films or just the roles he does, he has such high energy, and like you see that in his roles. But when I interviewed him, it was like the same thing. He was just so energetic. He was so fun. He like poked fun at me a little bit, which was really funny. So like I said, it's like, what is that saying? Like art imitates life. I guess he's one of
Yeah.
those examples, but like in the best way possible. Like he's literally, you interview, like when I interviewed him, it's like I'm talking to someone goofy like Shaggy, or you know he's not like Stu Macher, but I would hope not. But he does have that, a little bit of that energy where it's a little goofy and funny, even from like She's All That, right? Which he's hilarious, and that dance scene he does is so funny. Um, but he's great. He was such a great guy, and you know, um, he's doing like a couple things coming out. Like he has that show Cross. He's got Daredevil Born Again season 2. He just did Scream 7, which was awesome to see him back. So yeah, he was great.
Yeah, that's fire. You know, you got a lot of interviews, a lot of great ones. Logic. Um, you got Danny from. Did he direct Spider Man or was he in it?
Oh, Danny Elfman. He was the film composer.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So he did the music for like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, Beetlejuice, the I was gonna say the original Batman, but that's the Adam West. But like the Tim Burton Batman films, he did the music for that too. So all those iconic themes, he was the guy who did it. And Simpsons as well. He did the Simpsons theme song. Um, for people watching The Simpsons, like, so I work from home basically. I do all my even for mortgages, like I can work like remote on my laptop and everything. But every day I'll take like a little lunch break with my dad. My dad's an accountant. He also works from home. So we spend our lunch together watching Simpsons. We spend like 30 minutes, whatever, have our lunch, and we just watch it. It's a nice way to bond. So yeah, that's one of my favorite things. Sorry to get off topic with that, but yeah, Danny Elfman was the film composer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Um, so I got some questions. For the people watching or that's gonna be listening, who dream about acting, what's the biggest mindset shift they need before stepping into the industry?
I think the biggest thing is like, look, as I mentioned, I'm an optimist. I'm very positive, but you also have to have a little bit of to be realistic as well, right? And I don't say that for people to when I say be realistic, I'm not trying to say like, oh, don't shoot for the stars, but don't go in with the mindset like I'm gonna be an actor and I'm gonna be famous right off the hop. I'm gonna be, working with all the biggest celebrities and everything. Listen, those are great, goals to have if you want to do that. Like everybody has their own, uh, you know, their own thing that they want to do in life. I think if you want to be an actor, you gotta be 110% dedicated because it's not just like all fun and games. Like you really have to put in the work. You have to take a lot of acting classes. There's like what is it, like 5% of actors make it to like A-list level, anyways, right? Most people are just working actors. I'm not even a working actor. I haven't even done enough to be a working actor. I'm still like, I maybe do a couple things throughout the year. I'm still pretty new. I've only been doing it for a couple years. Um, you know, I I take whatever I can right now, right? And I think people who are getting into the industry have to have that mindset too. Like, take whatever you can at the beginning. Realize it's going to be tough. You know, if you want to be an actor, do it because you love the art. Do it because you want to better your craft. Don't just do it for the wrong reasons about money or fame. Um, because I truly believe if you search for things like that, you're not going to get it. Those things come when you least expect it. That's my belief. It's like how I this might sound corny, but like how I found my fiance. Like, before her, of course, like, people that are single, they probably want to, if you want to have a girlfriend, maybe you're searching for things like that. The moment I stopped, she came in my life in a time where I just at least expected it. So I feel like even with acting, if you're doing it for the right reasons, you truly just love the art form, you want to better yourself, the opportunities will eventually come your way. The auditions you want will start to come your way. And you just kind of you have to put that in the universe, like, just saying to yourself, I just wanna act in general. To be an actor is a blessing, man. To just be in a commercial, a short film, any medium of acting is a blessing. It's so hard to to do this, right? So if people are gonna get into it, just they gotta be prepared. It's not just all fun and games.
Right. That's a good one. And I gotta ask, do you because I used to always set like the biggest goals for myself, and then like after a while they don't happen. That
Mhm.
creates like discourage stuff like that. Do you believe in like that self sabotaging yourself?
Well, here's the thing. I'm the same way as you. I set the bar really high for myself, and 9 times out of 10, I don't reach that. And you're right, you do get discouraged. But I don't think, and hopefully this answers your question, but I don't think it's like self-sabotaging to do things like that, because I don't really believe in failure, really. I believe in just learning, right? Um, for example, too, when I quit barbering, I don't even necessarily look at it like I quit barbering. I transitioned from barbering to something else because, you know, realistically, the only thing I could have done as a barber was open my own shop or salon, or what I mean. And because I was pretty much fully booked as a barber, like I was capped, right? And I thought to myself, like, this is gonna be the rest of my life. I don't know if I want to do this. So I took the initiative to switch, right? Um, and then, as like I said, as an actor, as a podcaster, I do set my goals, and like you, I set them really high. But when I don't make that, I I always appreciate what I did accomplish throughout the way. And if you look at with that mindset, you'd be surprised how much you've accomplished. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like last year, my goal was to become a union actor, right? To be in the union. And for people who don't know what that is, when you start off as an actor, you're non-union, and which means a lot of the auditions you're getting are commercials, or like maybe they're not the biggest projects, which is fine. And you have to get 3 union credits to become a full union actor. When you're union, there's less commercial auditions, less commercials to do, but the gigs are more, I guess, prestigious, right? Like they're bigger projects, films, and shows. I sadly did not become union last year, but now that's my goal again this year. But I still appreciate the goals. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I didn't reach, become a union actor. I just, now I'm discouraged, because I look at it different. I go, well, I booked a commercial. I did an M&M's commercial back in December. I also did a TV spot for the History Channel. I did I forgot what else I did. I did a couple other little things, but I'm happy that I did those, right? Because like I said, there's no such thing as too small of a project. Anything you could do as an actor is great. So yeah, I don't look at it much as self-sabotaging. I look at it like just through a different lens. Like, if I didn't accomplish this, I accomplished this instead. So yeah.
Good one. That's a good way to look at it. Do you still write those huge goals down just to keep it like, on the side?
100% I do. 100%. And you know what? Again, I may never reach those things that I write down, or say to myself, but I feel like the journey is also really fun. Just to, again, like, just go through this in life, just to say that I tried. Even if I don't make it to where I want to be, because again, even just landing a commercial, even landing a short film, those are things before I was an actor I never thought I would do. I never thought I was going to do a commercial or any type of, like, my brother and I made a film. I never thought in life we were ever going to do that, or I never thought it was possible. But like I said, the opportunities come your way when you least expect it, right? And I'm forever grateful for that. But yeah, I still write those goals down. So hopefully one day I get to that point, man. I hopefully.
Yeah, we will.
100%. Yeah, you too, man. Like, what if you don't want, I'm gonna flip it. Hope that's okay. But what are some of your goals? I'm not sure if you like sharing that stuff, but if you do, like, I'm curious to hear what some stuff that you want to do.
I want to get into more like hosting gigs. Could
Oh,
be like,
like live things, like live events and stuff too, like for like Comic
yeah,
Cons, for example.
yeah,
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
sports, anything, good stuff.
Yeah, that is really cool. Yeah, I would love to do that. I would love to do that too. For me, I wouldn't even know where to start. Like, sometimes I'm thinking, like, how can I do live things? And it's like, those are little hurdles you can definitely accomplish, right? It's just a matter of finding where to start. A lot of research maybe. I just never took the time yet to really dive too deep into that. But dude, that's great. I can definitely see you doing that. You definitely have that, like, that personality to just be in front of the camera and everything. So yeah, I think you could do it, man.
Appreciate that. Another thing I want to do is like just get like involved with like a network, up
Oh,
level the show.
so for example, like a Jimmy Fallon, like a network where it's like you're talking with an audience and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what? A fun little fact. When I'm not sure how deep you went into my YouTube, but if you go pretty deep, you're gonna see some very corny videos of me trying to be like that, where I would put on a suit, I was behind a green screen, and I tried to emulate that, like, Jimmy Fallon Tonight Show type of thing, and it was bad. Like, I put, like, the fake audience laugh in the background. I would do a monologue at the beginning, make some stupid jokes. Dude, it was bad. I'm pretty sure I deleted most of them, but you'll probably find a few that are still living there that'll probably haunt me for the rest of my life. But I definitely would love to do that, man. Like, and my vibe, like, I love the retro stuff. So, like, my goal eventually would be, like, to emulate what, like, Johnny Carson had, but have a little bit more of that, like, retro 90s, 80s type of vibe in there, like the look and overall aesthetic. Because Johnny Carson, like, I still watch his stuff on YouTube, like his clips and everything and his interviews. he will always be my favorite. Johnny Carson was like the best. I didn't grow up obviously when he was around, but just watching the clips and the interviews he does, he just had that. He had that presence, man. That A made you feel comfortable, and B he was funny, and C he just does great interviews. I just noticed he brings the best out of people, and I feel like that's how you get the best interviews when you're just. Sometimes it doesn't have to be like the most crazy question. It's just how you present yourself and you make others feel comfortable. That's how they open up to you. So that's like the best way to go about it, in my opinion.
It's a lot of work. And I want like a sponsor deal with like Spotify or like iHeart or something. That'll be cool.
That'd be cool, man. I hope for me too. I'm not even on Spotify or anything. Like I do my podcast strictly on YouTube and like TikTok, Instagram. Like I post my clips. I should really like. I was at one point on Spotify and Apple, like, just there, and then I thought like I wanted to do like video format. I might eventually, put everything back on Spotify and Apple too, because I feel like I'm really missing a huge demographic. But again, these are things I'm learning, and these are things I get to learn from you, right? Like it's great. Like I said, we're all in this journey together. So like, thanks for the reminder. Like that you brought that up. I gotta look into that again, putting it back on Spotify and Apple.
Yeah, you should, because Spotify does video podcasts now. Like you could upload the video.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, you should
Oh,
definitely
that's
do it.
interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna look into that more. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
pretty cool. Um, you've worked both in front of like camera or like actor wise and interviewer. How has interviewing other creators changed the way you approach acting?
Well, a lot of the times, like for example, like when I interview actors, you mean like when I do the podcast? So
Yeah.
basically, for example, like if I'm interviewing an actor, I'll use like Matthew Lillard for example, right? There was one thing he said where, because I brought up, I forgot the exact context, but implying like it's good to give the director different takes and different ways of doing things, right? He's like, don't just give them one thing. He's like, always try to, give them options. And I already try to do that, but it's good to have that reminder, like, because sometimes as an actor, you have something in your head, like I'm gonna perform it this type of way, and it's like it's in your head, like, okay, this is how the line should say, how it should read. But the director may look at you and be like, I maybe we should try it differently. And then if you're caught off guard, thinking like, well, I didn't prep for that, then you're not gonna know what to do. You're gonna be scrambling. So I think always having that in the back of your head, like, give the director options, because they're only going to use one at the end of the day, but it's good to have that variety. So that was one thing that, like, when I interviewed him, I got to learn. Um, and there's just so many things I've learned from different actors. See, the good thing about acting is like you're exploring human behavior. I love using that phrase because it really is, right. Like all these characters that I love watching, whether it's like a Marty McFly from Back to the Future, or whether it's Rocky Balboa from Rocky, right? These are characters that are very multi-layered, and especially Rocky, like, or even like Michael Corleone from The Godfather, right? You watch those performances and you get to just learn so much. But imagine if you get to talk with the actor that did it. Like if I ever got to talk to Stallone, like, for example, one of the questions I would have is like, look, like in real life, Mr. Stallone, you actually got to struggle. You were homeless at one point. You had to sell your dog. And it's like, did you use that, your own personal struggles, to really, embed that in the character? And who knows what he would say, but whatever he would say, that would help me learn as an actor too. Like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should use some of my own, like if it's a character that has struggles, right? Maybe I should use some of my own personal things that I've dealt with to really make that character a little more nuanced. So there's different ways you can kind of go about it. And yeah, I've learned so much by talking to different people. You'd be surprised how many, like the approach that people have to acting. People can do it so many. It's just so cool to learn. Like thinking like, wow, like I never would have thought to play a character like that, or wow, their process is really interesting. I wonder if I can implement that for myself. So I've learned so much. You know,
Yeah, it's just like endless things you could learn.
it's true. There's endless things. That's why because again with barbering, like I said, I was every day felt the same. I was just doing like It was like I was booked up fully, every week. And it's like, okay, there's nothing new to this really. Yeah, you can get different clients coming in, different style. Maybe it's cool to learn different hair types. It is always different, the experience. But with acting, man, people like, if there's 10 actors playing the same role, they will all play differently. That's what makes it interesting. Every person. Like, have you ever watched a movie and looked at a character and been like, oh, so and so would have done also good in that role? Have you ever had thoughts
Yeah,
like that too? Yeah,
yeah,
and it's like, who knows how they would have played it? Like, I always make a joke, like in Rocky Four, right? You know how it was Dolph Lundgren that was he played the Russian in Rocky Four.
yeah,
I'm always like in my head, well, it would have been funny if Arnold Schwarzenegger played that role, because him and Sylvester Stallone were actually like they were like considered rivals back in the '80s, because they were going after the similar roles, and like you know, and it's like, imagine they were going head to head, but Arnold would have played it so much differently than how Dolph Lundgren played it, and Dolph Lundgren played it so well. So it's like, it just makes you think like, oh, how would it be if someone else got to do a different role? So it's really cool.
yeah. That's like the creative thought.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And rejection is a huge part of entertainment. How do you personally handle rejection and turn it into motivation instead of discouragement?
Well, I'll use like acting as an example. Like when I audition, like 90% of things I audition for, I don't get. And most actors, they'll audition for so many things, and they'll maybe get like, let's say they audition for 50 things, they may get one or maybe two if you're lucky out of the 50, right? Um, and I used to get really discouraged by it when I first started, because again, I was a little naive. Like when I first started acting, I was 22, so it was about 4 years. Yeah, about 4 years ago. Um, yeah, 4 or 5 years ago I started, but I was doing it like on and off too, because like I said, I was more focused on the podcasting at the time. Like, the past 2 years I've really been invested in it, like more with the acting. But I first started though, I was like very naive. Oh, I'm gonna get into this, and like I'm gonna get so many auditions. It's gonna be so cool. I'm gonna be on TV and movies. And it's like the first year, I think I only got a commercial. That's it. But even then, I was so grateful. Like, I remember when I got the email from my agent at the time, like, "Oh, Adam, you booked this commercial." I was like jumping for joy. I was so excited, and I think that's what helps, right? Like, you can get 100 no's, but that one yes is gonna just give that little extra fuel to keep going. And listen, even if you don't book anything, get people don't realize getting an audition. I've learned this throughout the way. Just to get an audition, just to get your foot in the door with a casting director, that's already a big accomplishment in itself. Because your agent, what they do, they submit your headshots, your resume, your demo reel. Your demo reel is basically, I'm sure you know, but for people who don't, it's just like a 2 minute video, 1.5, 2 minute video of like some scenes of your work, right? It shows different your range and everything. So they'll send all that in your agent. It's up to the casting director, and I guess the director too, whoever else is involved, the producers and stuff, if they want you to audition, right? So just to get an audition is already a big, like, it's a big form of success. So that's how I've looked at it, right? Like, even if I don't book something, I just, and here's the thing, for actors who are new to this, when you have auditions and you do them, if you don't get them, you won't hear back. Unless you're like deep in the process, if you've gotten a call back, if you met with a director, at that point they would probably, your agent would let you know, like, hey Adam, or hey so and so, you didn't book this, you're going in a different direction or whatever, or they picked someone else. But if you're just auditioning for a commercial, or if it's just something like that, or if it's just something where you're in the early stages, they won't let you know. So at first, like the first year of doing it, I was going crazy. I remember I auditioned for like a pretty big role, and I'm like, every day I kept checking my emails, like, did I get it? Did I get it? Did I get something? And like I was driving myself crazy. So the biggest takeaway: do an audition, you leave it behind you. Don't think about it. Just do it and move on. Don't think about it. And if you don't get it, you just keep moving forward. That's the best way I've learned about dealing with rejection. Just like think like, what, at least I got the audition, or what, there'll be another audition I could do. If I didn't get this one, there's always something else. So that's the mentality you have to have in your head.
Definitely. Good one. Well, I appreciate you for coming on the podcast, bro. Maybe we could do a part two soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. I had a great time today, and I'm sorry if I rambled a lot. I tend to talk a lot, so so sorry about that. But dude, I had a great time. You're awesome. I really appreciate it, and yeah, let's definitely stay in touch. Anytime you want me to come on, or anytime you want to chat, the door's always open, man. Honestly,
Appreciate it, bro. This was a good podcast.
thank you so much.
Definitely. I'll definitely keep in touch.
Awesome. Same here, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Peace.
Bye.